Good afternoon. Everybody hear me okay? I remember to hold the mic up close. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm Damon Buskell, the Executive Director. And also thanks for letting us postpone this for a week. I was on vacation last week, but we have so much going on. I didn't want to put this off for a month. So appreciate you coming a week later. So good to see everybody today. Before we get into the individual director reports, I want to touch on one topic that was an anomaly to say the least. And I had gotten a communication out about this, but a couple weeks ago, as most of you know, we had an incident out by our retention pond. Did everybody see the announcement on that? Had, I've talked with a lot of you about it, but I just wanted to touch base on it again today and just kind of review what happened. I think the communication back and forth has been pretty good, but every once in a while, unfortunately, rumors get out there that are pretty far from the truth. But what I want to do is share what we know and see if there's any questions. Of course, a couple weekends ago, about mid-morning, there was an incident out in the pond where there's a lot of things we don't know about this because we don't have cameras on the pond. That's one thing we'll be adding. That wouldn't have prevented this, but at least it would have given us a little more idea what transpired. But a 5-year-old boy ended up in our retention pond in the morning, and thank God was spotted by one of our very dependable residents who saw a person we assume was the mother. We don't know that for sure, but whoever, guardian, something, was pulling the child out of the retention pond and very, very upset and agitated. So the resident knew there was a problem and like a hero called 911, acted very quickly, probably saved the kid's life. Anyway, 911 got here from, according to witness stories, within a couple minutes. They were fast. So they did an amazing job. So the official report I was given, or what I was told by the police officer was the child was unconscious. So several of you have asked me that, if that was a rumor or that was true. Yeah, the child was unconscious when he was pulled from the pond. Fortunately, the 911 authorities were able to resuscitate him, and they got him off, the 5-year-old boy off to the hospital. Somewhere along the lines, a gentleman showed up on the scene too. Could have been a family member, whatever, to support the woman who was with the child. Um, so they took him off to the hospital, and then the concierge, once this had started happening, they called me, and I was out at my house in Waukee, and I just stayed on the phone and to see what played out. And once they took the young boy to the hospital, the officer came up to door one and to meet with us, and they put him on the phone with me. And there wasn't really a lot he could say other than to confirm that it was a 5-year-old child and that he was unconscious, but he was resuscitated, fully responsive, and they were very optimistic. Um, since the event, we haven't heard any communication. Well, let me finish the conversation with the officer. We just talked about the only question I asked, is there anything we could do or anything you'd like us to do differently, or how can we help with this? And he asked if we had camera footage. And I said, not of that spot, we don't. And he said, well, you don't have to. He said, but in this case, obviously that would have, might have given us a little more about what happened here. And so that's one thing we do have in the plans is to add a camera, per his suggestion. But like I said, he was very clear that that wouldn't have prevented this, but it would have helped him investigate it. Since then, we got the communication out, and in speaking with our communications department, unfortunately, human nature nowadays, a 5-year-old being in the pond unconscious, resuscitated, it's quite a story when you look at the big picture, but it doesn't really make the media unless the outcome is the worst outcome. And our director of communications, Lisa, as we were preparing, because we didn't know what was going to happen, as we were preparing for the communications to come, she called it out perfectly and said, if he's fine, which we all were praying he was, um, we won't see or hear anything about it. If the outcome is bad, it could be a top three or the top story in the metro this weekend. So it's kind of sad how those things work, but fortunately, still to this day, we weren't able to find anything on the news channels, websites. Nothing was on the news. There's just been nothing at all about it, which basically means the boy is okay, which is a good outcome. I was kind of hoping to hear from somebody, from the boy's family or whatever, just to hear that he's okay and hear a little bit more about it. Um, you can drive yourself crazy wondering how does a 5-year-old boy get, that open area into that pond. Did he come across the street? Was he out walking with? I mean, we just don't know. Those are questions. And there are a couple rumors out there that are, nobody knows how he got in there. So if you've heard otherwise, feel welcome to come talk to me about it. But sometimes, unfortunately, people start rumors that are very, very far from real, and in some cases, a couple of them very unfair to the what was likely his family helping him that day. So, but I know I got a communication out about that right after it happened. I thought that was the best way to go, considering just how extreme and emotional the event was. Talked to quite a few people before I left, talked to some of you when I got back yesterday. But I also wanted to bring it up today just to, for closure purposes and to make sure people know what really transpired. Um, if you look at, people can always talk about retention ponds, put a wall around them, put a fence around them. Well, you talk to the police about that. It's not required by code, and most people, you look at the ponds when you're driving around, they don't have fences. And plus, fences, the ones with fences get kids in the water just like the ones without fences. So fences are like a camera up there. Fences aren't any guarantee of protection either. So that's everything we know about it. Maybe someday we'll hear from the family or hear more about what happened. But as of now, I don't even have a name or anything. So, but clearly the young boy is okay, and that's the most important thing. So, any questions before I hand it off to? Yes, sir. Their retention ponds are very deep. Um, and no, I wasn't aware of a second kid being fished out either. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Retention ponds, when you watch them being dug, I've seen my fair share of them. Like the one out here, you've all seen the size of it when you're down there. But the retention ponds, the slope of them's pretty dramatic. They're very deep. But you think about it, a 5-year-old kid, if the thing is 3 or 4 feet deep, that's enough. Yeah, and actually, I don't want to get too off topic, but when you go in to rescue someone, you're not supposed to dive. You're supposed to run in and jump in feet first so you don't hit your head. Learn that in lifeguarding. But anyway, it's deep. I think Ben Campney put you on the spot. You saw that hole. How? Yeah, and the other ones, a couple of the projects we did when I worked up at our corporate office, when we did the Atlantic project in Washington, Iowa, I watched when they were building those retention ponds, and yeah, they're pretty deep because they want to be, you want a lot of water capacity, but you don't want to take up a lot of surface area to do it. Great question though. Yeah. So what the feedback we're going to start with is we have a new risk management company we work with, and actually we just toured them probably a couple weeks before this incident happened. But I filled out an incident report on this event and have submitted that. And where we're going to start is going by what, the risk management's our insurance company basically that helps us take steps to limit risk. And we're going to start with what they think we should do. I point blank asked the police officer, and he's like, there's no, you said your pond is fine, it's at code, there's nothing there to fix or that anyone you did wrong. He said it's a really tough thing because, a person can talk about this or that offense, stuff like that, but we've had issues with kids being in ponds that are fenced too. And it's just one of those issues. But we're going to start with what risk management tells us, and we'll go from there. So, and every Wesley Life, because of the size of these big commercial properties, they have one or multiple retention ponds. So it's something that we can look at, and that if there's changes, if that's something that would probably be standardized across the company. So, yep. Remember, go feet first, not head first. Yes. Some of us were talking about that. She's talking about putting big boulders around the perimeter. Yeah, some of us were talking about the same thing. Um, Now, keep in mind, I mean, we could probably do that, but if it, would that have kept that kid out of there? If nothing else, aesthetically, it'd look better. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll see what risk management says, but that's an idea our team threw around too. Or just something to give people. A 5-year-old boy, is that enough to signal, don't go past this point? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, in the height of the depth of the retention pond, it is what it is. It's meant to hold water, and with all the rain we've had this year, it will come up a little more, which the surrounding grasses, its reach will be a little farther. Typically, I mean, when I was out walking around it later that day, and it seemed like it might have been a little bit higher, but I was walking pretty close to the edge of that, and I didn't find it slippery or anything. The reason being, it's not steep. So I don't know. It's a tricky question. Sadly, I don't think there's anything that would 100% guarantee no incidents. So, and kids are curious too, which is always an issue. Good questions. Any more before Sam's jokes? Talk about something more fun. And I just thought it was important to talk about this one more time. So, like I said, if I ever hear from the family or anything like that, I'll share that with everybody. But to date, I don't even know who it was yet. So, yeah. Yep, I could do that. She she's talking about putting out a communication about how the little boy was fine. Um, yeah, and I think it's far enough for the th- the the thing that gave me pause on doing that. I thought about that before I left on vacation. The part that concerns me is I haven't heard any details. I don't know how long he was unconscious. Just is he totally okay? Because if he was out for a couple minutes, 5 minutes, there could be issues. He might be alive, but there could be issues there. And I wish I could find that out, but haven't been able to so far. Anything else? Okay. Well, I'll be back up here shortly, so if you think of something, this this point, we'll turn it over to Sam.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Damon. That was uplifting. Uh, I don't really have any jokes today, but I do have a short story. Um, Two men were walking in the forest, and it was extremely dark. After walking for a bit, one of the men suddenly yells, "Stop!" Right in front of them was the largest hole they'd ever seen. The two men look at each other and decide they have to know how deep this hole is. They decide to throw some pebbles into the hole and listen for a minute. Nothing. One finds the largest rock he can find, and he threw it in, and he listened for a hit. Well, there was nothing. So then they decide they're going to find the biggest thing they can find and carry and throw it into the hole and find out how deep this thing is. So they searched for a little bit, and they found a huge railroad tie. They picked it up, they carried it to the hole, and they threw it in, and they listened. Shortly after, they heard rustling in the distance, getting closer and closer. The next thing they see is a goat sprinting out of the bushes, and it nosedives straight into the hole. The men were thinking about why the heck the goat would do that. They're unable to figure out a reason, but they decided to move on. They continued walking, and they found a farm. A very worried farmer came out to greet them, and he said he can't find his prize-winning goat, that the state fair was the next day, and he wanted to win a prize for his daughter. The two men say that they saw the goat not too long ago, but he jumped out of a bush and jumped down a giant hole. And the farmer shook his head and said, "Well, there's no way that's my prize goat. I tied him up to a railroad tie so he wouldn't run away." uh, I've been here several years and done a lot of state fair jokes. I'm kind of out of them, so that's what you get. All right. Dining update. As soon as everyone gets back from vacations, I promise we will pick a Saturday to open the Chamberlain and see how that goes. So we still have that on the docket for those of you who were asking about that last month. Speaking of the Chamberlain, we do have a new menu in there. If you want to check it out, most of the items in there are made in-house. There's a lot of plant-based and gluten-free options. There's upgraded meats and cheeses on the cheese boards, and even the pecans are roasted and spiced in-house. So go check out those new items in the Chamberlain menu. And speaking of new menus, we have the Vita All the Time menu will come out very soon with more local items. We're going to try and be 100% local Iowa pork, including Guthrie County Meat Locker. There's a meat locker in Waukee, and start sourcing some of our meat from there. 100% fresh local produce, and we'll continue to only serve house-made pasta in there too. So let's see. Ryan and I will be hosting a technology meeting that he'll touch on later. That'll discuss all the technology at Wesley on Grand, but my part will be discussing all the dining technology that you'll find useful, like ways of finding out the menu updates, how to check your dining balance, online ordering, and there's lots of fun new technology involved here. So we'll be there. We'll have this meeting later this month, and we'll go over how to use it, where to go, how to find your password, and all of those things. So I think it'll be a useful thing for those that are wanting to explore more of the technology options that we have. And I believe that's my update for this month. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, Lynn and I have talked about in the past various uses for technology in looking up nutritional information. So I have that as a note as something I'll be talking about in the dining technology update, where you can look at. There's fantastic resources online. There's apps and things that, I mean, you can get as technological as taking a picture of the food and it'll tell you exactly how much fat and sodium and carbs and things in there. So for those of you that have diet concerns on those things, there's plethora of ways of finding that out. So we'll be going over that in that meeting as well. Mhm. All right, Ryan, you want to go? Thank you, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, we're all a little tired. My name is Ryan Amundsen, Director of Wellbeing. I have several items I kind of want to run through with everybody today. The first one I want to throw out there is about a month away, but I'll be starting to take registrations for it. We are hosting our second annual Wesley Life Olympics, September 10th. So we're about a month away yet, but we're going to hold that over at Edgewater. The first event will start around 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'll have events throughout the day with the whole thing concluding around 3:30. With us being as close to Edgewater as we are, we will have transportation to and from and can make multiple trips as well. So we're a little fortunate compared to our friends over in, say, Pella, whereas if they come in the morning, they're there all day. So if you're interested in taking part in the Olympics, come up and let me know. The events that we have this year is we will be putting a golf simulator up and doing a longest drive contest for all us golfers out there. We'll have a softball toss competition, bags competition, billiards, and then they are going to do the newlywed game as just a fun game to do at the end. So if you're interested in being a part of any of that, let me know. I know last year we had Paul and Lou take part in the mini golf and the softball toss. So it was a lot of fun. It's about a month away, though. So if you're interested, please let me know, and I'll put you on the list and make sure to communicate transportation after that. Okay? So coming up, just to touch on what Sam said, we are going to be doing a technology day. We are looking at the 21st around 2 o'clock in here. I will be making a separate flyer to put out for that. But Sam will have his technology pieces to talk about. I'll have the Uniguest app. I'm also working on a tutorial for MediaCom to do some of the DVR type capabilities and go through the remote and things like that. So we'll be covering a wide range of technology topics on that day. But like I said, keep an eye out for the elevators and the screens around campus. I'll have the official details on that on those boards and in the elevators there. Coming up in September, just want to get this out on everybody's radar. Broadlawns is coming back to start doing their educational series with us. And as of right now, it's looking like their first one will be a discussion around blood pressure. And we are planning to turn that into monthly blood pressure checks. That's been something that people have been asking for quite some time. Broadlawns is very interested in partnering on that. But our first one is going to be a presentation around it, and then we're going to start scheduling those checks after that. So it's a really good partnership. I'm happy we finally made it to this point. But if you're somebody that's interested in taking part in those blood pressure checks, I would also like to know that soon so I could start keeping a tally of roughly how many people to expect at these events. So I'll be hanging around for a few minutes after the meeting. Feel free to come up and ask me about that. But that partnership with Broadlawns, we got 4 or 5 presentations already scheduled through the rest of the year, but the first one being that blood pressure component. The next thing I want to put on everybody's radar is we are planning on doing a new resident fair at the end of the month. We are aiming for the 25th. That's a Monday afternoon around 2 o'clock. So I'll be coordinating with resident council to make sure we have some representatives there as well. But we've had quite a bit new residents over the past few months that we feel like it's time to do this again. So we'll have representatives from different areas of campus. So between resident council, library, fitness and wellness, in-home services, dining, maintenance, we'll have people all around this room to give information to folks that are needing it. And it's important to note that it's not just for new residents. Longtime residents have found benefit in coming and getting questions answered about certain topics as well. So that'll be coming up at the end of the month as well. A couple updates for my team. We have 2 new members, one who has already come on board and one that'll be joining us in about 2 weeks. So Angel Crow, who many of you may have known through housekeeping, is now our activity coordinator in the health center. She started on Thursday. So she's doing a great job through her first week there. And then in 2 weeks, Megan Sale will be joining us to replace Michaela as our well-being coordinator. So she'll start officially on the 18th, might be a few days prior, but we'll have a full team again, and we'll take Megan around campus in particular and introduce her to everybody. But she'll be up sharing an office with Emma here shortly. All right, let's see. Any questions for me? I think that's it for my list. No? All right. Piece of cake. Amy, you up next? Okay.
All right, good afternoon. How is everyone? Good? Okay. Well, speaking of Olympics, I do have to mention that Ryan and I had the opportunity to spend a day out at the Senior Olympics at the Recplex over there by Des Moines University on the 28th. So not yesterday, but the previous Monday. And I have to say, it was so inspiring. I think Ryan kept looking at me because I was like, oh my gosh, just seeing people from all over the United States coming to the Des Moines area to, I don't know, like engage in the different sports that they enjoy. And it was just really inspiring. So I kept thinking to myself, okay, this is retirement goals. I mean, I was just amazed. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Ryan and I had a good time. We were representing Wesley on Grand. So there were a lot of questions about what we do here through Wesley Life and our community. And it definitely drummed up a lot of conversation about other senior communities in different states as well. But yeah, I wanted to take a moment and give you an update on open apartments throughout our community. So right now in Grand, we just have 1 unit open, and that's Grand 209. I did have a tour for that this morning for somebody that is pretty active in our community already through Community Fits, so we'll see what happens there. It's a beautiful unit. I'm shocked it's still here. We are just about done remodeling it, so if you know of anybody that is looking for a 1-bedroom, it's right around 720 square feet, so it's a really nice unit. And then in the Bolton, we also have 2 3-bedroom units and 1 1-bedroom. So if you know of anybody that's interested there, great units. One of them's ready to go, and the other is nearing completion for the remodel. Sargent, we have 1 1-bedroom unit as well. That one is on the main level. Again, I'm shocked it's still there, but it has to be that right person that just is wanting a 1-bedroom. Let's see here. Assisted living, I have a 1 independent living only unit on 4th floor, and then I have 3 assisted living units, but I also have 2 hot leads for those 3. So to kind of speak into that a little bit, it's been very busy for Jeannie and I. I would say, just to kind of recap, in the last month, a lot of our tours, at least for me on my side of the campus, has been independent living, but it's been folks looking at 2 to 4 years until they move in. So they're really pre-planning. I've got a lot of pre-planners. It still is really good though, because our early advantage plan that we have in addition to our regular wait list has been very successful. So in the last year and a half that early advantage has been launched, we have moved in 10 people off of that early advantage. And so those were 10 people directly into the Grand. So the units aren't sitting very long. It's a very active plan where people want to move forward. So I just wanted to share that. It's been a really positive thing for our community. Let's see here. I think that's it for me. No new residents to report currently. We've had units that have moved, but they're not moved in yet. they won't be moving in for a few months. Any questions for me? Okay, no takers. Jeremiah? Wiki? Wiki? Wiki, you're up.
I'm going to be quick today, I promise. Just a reminder tomorrow for all those in the Parkinson's program, we will be meeting tomorrow. It's always the first Wednesday of the month at 2 o'clock. We'll be in the Greenwood room. Unfortunately, we lost one of our members this past month, Susan Bruckshaw. But we have gained 2 people, so we have a couple Austin Center people that will be joining us this month. So, and we also invite the caretakers and families of those with Parkinson's to join us as well. One other major change this month, and just for this month, we have switched communion and our service with Jim Luke to next week, the second Wednesday of the month, which will be the 13th. And then the following Wednesday will be Mass. So they've actually switched just for this month only. We are going on a cruise, a very short cruise, but some of you know this already. I am taking reservations. I need to have them all in very shortly on the 11th because they need to know for food purposes, but we're going over to Moline and getting on the Celebration Bell riverboat. It is the largest family-owned cruise line on the upper Mississippi. And you'll have a wonderful buffet lunch, and you'll be treated to a narration of the history of the river and the Rock Island Arsenal, which is actually where we will be going around the arsenal. And you'll get pointed out all the sites and so on and so forth. Just in case it rains, there is an inside, so we can be dry if we choose to. But also up on top, they have a lovely place for seating and for people to see the sights as we cruise. We do leave here at 8 o'clock in the morning. We are going on a Windstar motor coach, and we will get you safely over there. We will get you over there by about 11:30 to get on the cruise, and then we'll cruise for have a lovely lunch and cruise for about 2 hours, then get off and come back. But when we get off, I have promised several people we will stop at Whitey's and get ice cream, because that was why some people went on the whole trip, just to go to Whitey's over in Moline, Illinois. So yes, we will do that, I promise. The only other thing major I have to talk about is by resident request, when we did those activity interest sheets of things you would like to see added to the calendar, humor was one of them. So, and this was a little hard for me to do, but I have booked a comedian. Now, I've never heard this comedian, so I'm holding my breath that it'll be appropriate. But he came with great references. We've heard him on video. His name is Jeff Hanna. He is a local guy, and he calls himself the fourth quarter fungi, Fungi. So this just to give you a slight bit. He also does some charting and other things. I'm not quite sure what all this is about. But anyway, do look for it. It'll be on Monday, August 18th at 2 o'clock in here. So come down. We hope it will be great. So any questions? Just check your calendars for other things. We have lots of good music and things going on. Okay, thank you. Uh-oh, I forgot. Come on, yeah, come on up, Jeremiah.
Hello, just giving an update from plant operations. Starting with MediaCom. So we're getting some more reports of MediaCom issues still. Excuse me. That's not something that we had heard for a few months, so we were kind of surprised. We just want to reiterate If you're still experiencing any kind of issues with MediaCom, please let myself or Bailey know. You can let Damon know, and he can pass the information on, or any of the leadership for that matter. Just to let us know if you still are experiencing any of those issues with MediaCom, so we can address those. We hadn't been hearing anything for a while, so we thought the situation might have been taken care of, but it's been brought up to our attention that we're still having some issues, so we want to address those when they come in and get you the TV programming that you need, and we don't want to cause any kind of interruptions there. So just let us know, communicate with us any means necessary if there's anything going on with your internet or cable. So. Moving on to some elevator updates. Some of you might be aware, some of you might not be aware yet, that the Bolton elevator is up and running as for right now. Working on, right now it's just a temporary fix until they get the modernization of the Bolton elevator up and going. So that'll be a big project. We're waiting on just kind of hearing an update from TK Elevator as to when we can expect that modernization. So, Central Elevator, the one right here off the dining hall area, that one has been down for about 2 weeks now. We're waiting on parts. I reached out to them yesterday, and just waiting to hear back on parts, and they're going to expect to get that repaired this week. So thank you for your patience with that. We do know that's kind of an inconvenience. Just trying to make sure all the elevators are up and running as they should be. So speaking of elevators, this is just kind of a small repair that we did in-house, but the Grand and Central elevators, we did some new lighting, some new carpet and paint. I think they were just some good little revisions to the elevators. So still working on. Thank you. So as all of you may know, the left side elevator, we took off that paneling and kind of really just opened up the ceiling, brightened it up in there. We changed out some lighting and the carpet. So I want to do the same thing on that other elevator. Just be aware, it's not going to look exactly the same. That ceiling is a little bit lower, so the space will look a little bit different, but I want them to kind of mirror each other as far as the design goes. So working on that. I'm trying to do just kind of just an update for all of what I can for all the elevators on property. Just I notice in the health center, sometimes people, a tall enough person might have like a tissue in their pocket, and they just kind of want to stuff it up there. So it's little things, little housekeeping things that we just want to make sure that the place looks good and that we're taking care of the property as we should, so you folks don't have to see any unsightly things like that, or anybody for that matter. It's not. I think it was him. I don't know. I got my suspicions. I got my eye on that guy, but no. But in all seriousness, I'm just trying to do everything I can to just make the place look good. Elevators included. The one in Central, is looking kind of just dark and dingy. So, just a lot of just a big difference what just paint and lighting can do in carpet tiles. So, working with that, and then we just been in communication with NSC. Just got email finalizing grand windows and roof replacement. That's going to be a big project. We'll be starting, be about 6 to 8 weeks to get the materials for the windows. In the meantime, they'll be starting on the roofs, so you'll probably see a lot more construction crews around here, a lot more activity, at least starting in Grand. But that's the plan with that for now. We're just waiting on materials to arrive, and we're getting everything kind of finalized with that. So, and then I'll let kind of Damon kind of just talk about that a little bit more. But last thing, just with all the storms that we've been having, all the wind and all the rainy weather that we've been having, just trying to keep up on the property, the outside property itself, just cutting down tree limbs, removing brush and any kind of debris left over from the storms, trying to just make sure like the front entry area looks good, blow that off twice a week with a leaf blower. Just really trying to make this place look just welcoming and just want it to look as good as it always does. So that's all we have for plant operations. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, thank you.
Sure, you take it easy on all these other guys. Okay, some of my some of my material will overlap what Jeremiah said, but I have a little bit different twist to it. So as he started to get into, we've got a lot of projects coming up, and just a little more detail. Starting to hammer out the timelines, and this is fluid, but this is what we know as of this morning. Now this could flex a little bit, and I'll keep you updated as best we can. And then right before especially the grand window project starts, we're going to have the vendor come in, and we'll have a meeting in here, a Q&A. So the residents in the grand can come in and ask any specific questions they have, get to know the contractors a little bit, and hear more specifics about it. Don't expect everybody to remember this, because as we get closer, we'll have a lot more communication coming out. But as it sits today, the timeline we're looking at is right around September 12th. The grand roof demo will begin. So that's September 12th. And estimates are that that project will run roughly through about October 3rd on this current timeline. So a little less than a month. You never know what the weather's going to do. That's figured in there to a degree, but you're kind of looking at September 12th through October 3rd for the grand roof. So once that grand roof is done, that's kind of the key. That's the first domino that has to fall. Then what we'll jump into is the health center roof and the grand windows. And right now, tentatively, we've got the grand windows set to start right around October 15th. And they're allowing a little time in there for weather and stuff, like I said. And they're estimating right now to conclude on 12/1 for the window project. Also, a very large project that will hopefully not affect too many people as far as noise and vendor traffic and everything, is the health center roof. That is a very big project. That's also, they'll be doing the grand windows and the health center roof simultaneously. So for the health center roof, right now we're looking at starting right about October 13th and wrapping that one up on November 15th. So just again on summary, right now where we're parked on dates, grand roof project September 12th through October 3rd, health center roof and the windows both start mid-October. And the health center roof takes about a month. It'll be done November 15th, estimates, and the grand windows December 1st. Now we're utilizing the same vendor for all of this, so it's a very large project, but everything seems to be coming together very well as far as coordination and everything, and just literally putting the last signatures and getting the last stuff ordered and things like that in place. So if this isn't exact, it's going to be very close. But as we get closer and have definite commitment dates, we will share those with you. Any questions so far? Yeah, Paul. I would assume so. The way I understand it, most all of them are. We haven't talked about solar panels. I can ask. Yeah, I'd have to ask Paul. Solar panels haven't come up to this point. So, yeah. Well, might come up someday. They just haven't talked about it yet. Any more questions? Okay, moving on. Jeremiah touched on the elevators. It was great to come back Monday and see that the Bolton elevator was running again. Just want to add to that, thank our residents at the Bolton for their patience, also their family members. Got to know some people really well through working through that together, and everybody was fantastic. I think everybody did the best they could to come up with contingency plans and support each other and stay positive, and we really appreciate it. Is now with the modernization project coming up, we will communicate as much in advance as possible of when that project will be happening, because as we all know, that means we'll have to be without an elevator again when we put the new one in. So we'll communicate that as soon as we know our timeline on there. But as I keep saying to everybody, we're not going to let the project start until every part is here, so we don't have any delays because of parts. We've been through that one before, and we don't want to go through it again. And also, just FYI, second part of that, over the next couple of years, you're going to see us doing a lot of elevator repair work. We're also going to be doing the health center elevator this year, or I assume it'll be done right behind the Bolton. After evaluating all of our elevators except for the two in the Grand and then the one in Sargent, those are our three newer ones. But after evaluating all the rest of them, it was decided by our elevator vendor that the health center elevator was in the most urgent need, and I believe the central elevator will be coming right behind that. So just FYI on how that's going to be playing out over the next year. And last but not least, update on vehicles. The bus is here. By here, I mean it is in Des Moines in the metro, our Wesleyan Grand bus. The branding wrap still is not on. So the branding wrap is delayed. Or it's in the branding wrap is the thing that they use heat to apply to the outside of the bus that has our branding, our phone number, name, everything on it. I did have the opportunity to get the van for a week or whatever it's going to be, and then take it in when the wrap was in, but I didn't really see the value in that. I said that you've already got it down there. We'd like for everybody to see it when it's looking the way it's supposed to look. So it's here in town, ready to go. They just got to put that wrap on there, and then we get to bring it home. So it is in Des Moines, our new bus. And also, not far behind it, we had, I can't remember if this was after our last meeting, but one of our transportation vehicles, just like a year ago or 2 years ago, the transmission done. So we have to have vans. We're doing more transportation than we ever have out here. We're running pretty hard and pretty busy. So we had to get another van ordered to be able to provide these trips at the numbers that we're doing, because we also support the village and even Edgewater at times. And so we'll have a new van incoming here probably within the next couple of weeks too. So that'll mean we've gotten 2 new vans in the last year. So that'll be exciting, because that's, I think the one that broke down was a 2016 and kind of showing its age a little bit. So let me look here. Any questions on the vans or bus? Okay. And last but not least, back to the MediaCom issue. When I got back yesterday, I believe I had three different residents come see me about MediaCom issues, and a couple of them were we were talking about it, and a couple of them were, like Jeremiah said, were saying that there were still quite a few of their neighbors and friends were having hiccups with MediaCom, but they'd given up on reporting it because A, they were either tired of it, or B, they felt like they were complaining. I'll tell you what I told them. Please tell us if you're having issues. I know it's getting tiring and everything, but this MediaCom contract is a company-wide contract, and here pretty soon we will have a call, and the EDs, the executive directors, will be asked how things are going with MediaCom, and we've got documentation of how many complaints are being reported and all of that. That's what we go by. So if we have a call, and I've only had a few, and Jeremiah and Bailey only a few complaints in the last month or two or whatever, that makes it look like things are going pretty darn well and we're pretty close to target. And we don't want people thinking that if that's not the case. So please understand you're doing us a big favor. If your MediaCom's not working, we really want to know. So, because it's frustrating for us too, believe me, but we got to keep plowing away till we get past this unfortunate the way this was set up. So anyway, I think that's pretty obvious. Yes? If you're asking if we want to know if you're down to 15 minutes or a half hour? Oh yeah. Yeah. Your TV and your internet should be immediate. I mean, yeah, I mean they should. That's what mine is at home. I mean, I stream everything. I mean, that's what we should have here. That's what we were promised. Those of you that have been here a while, you know, the way, you know how our internet worked before. It wasn't perfect, but it worked better than this new one did when it got put in. And we were assured this modernization would bring us just top level performance for both internet and cable. So, and that means no, you know, buffering all the time and access issues and all the delays and things we've been dealing with. Both your internet and your cable should work very, very well. If they don't, let myself, let Jeremiah or Bailey know. We let MediaCom know. They are supposed to come out here in person and fix the issue. So, yes. I was going to. Jeremiah and I were talking about that before the meeting. So, like Carol just said, so with that said, how many people are having issues with their MediaCom? Oh my. This is a frustrating laugh, not a happy laugh. Jeez. Okay, so that's over half of you. Okay. I I can't make any sense of some of this. It's just crazy. Some of the different issues where we're having the issues, and then with today's technology, how they can't fix this is beyond me. It's it's really frustrating for all of us. So, but I will immediately let our vice president of IT know that I asked this question today. Knows well over half the room, and the room's pretty darn full today. So, yes, Miss Luke. If there's any backup for MediaCom doesn't come out on the weekends, I don't. You know for sure they don't? Okay. See, I mean, if MediaCom doesn't do service calls on the weekends, our best chance here would be, say, an Alex, who's pretty savvy at that. Our Alex. I don't know if John. I know Alex is. Okay, don't ask John. Yeah, ask for Alex. And Alex is Saturday, right? Okay. Yes. What's that? You can call me all you want, but have you heard about me and technology? Not going to do you any good. I'll come sit in your room, but it's not going to fix your internet. So your question is, do we have a backup for weekend repairs? Are you asking if we have maintenance on the weekend? Yes. We have a maintenance person here Saturday and Sunday. Well, it depends what the repair is. a fire alarm system like in your room, or that sounds like what it needs is a new battery. And I would, yes, our guys can change a battery in a detector. They can. I just said they can change the battery in a detector. Am I not hearing her? I'm sorry.
Are you calling the maintenance line 6700? Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So you're calling and it's not getting fixed? Okay, so that'd be something we would need to talk to them about.
So 9 to 6:30 on Saturday. Go ahead.
Yeah, Randy's here 9 to 6:30 on Saturdays, and John is here Sundays 8 to 5:30, or 8 to 4:30. Sorry. You can call security. They have enough knowledge. Like sometimes they can walk you through like a cable issue, or like a light bulb or something simple that they can take care of. Otherwise, they communicate to the maintenance staff to take care of it the next available day. Yeah, that's something that I can communicate with our security team and just let them know how important it is to address something like that immediately instead of waiting for the next day for sure.
So what, now that I've heard the scenario, what security should have done is we have maintenance is on call if they're not here. If that was a chirp that was annoying you and bothering you, keeping you awake, whatever, then what they should have done is called the maintenance. If they didn't know how to change a battery in a detector, then call one of our guys to come in and do it. If a resident's disturbed or uncomfortable, or it's something that they shouldn't have to tolerate till morning, we have all the guys are basically on call. Well, they should have called. That's what Jeremiah's going to follow up with them. So, yeah, you shouldn't have, I wouldn't want to listen to a detector chirping all night either. So they should have either changed the battery, assuming that was the issue, usually is when they're chirping, or they should have called maintenance. I would think they'd know how to change a battery, but okay. One thing I just wanted to add too, just to speak into the Good Samaritan Fund a little bit. As we all know, that Good Samaritan Promise, resident never has to leave Wesleyan Grand if they exhaust their funds due to no fault of their own. A question I get monthly that we'll talk about here quickly is about does a person have to give a singular gift, or can they give it in incremental amounts? And actually giving in incremental amounts is very, very common. You can give monthly, and it's a simple way to impact regularly. All you have to do is stop by the business office to pick up the form. And I believe, like, for example, all of our leadership team contribute to Good Sam. And I think that's how all of us are doing it. I know that's how I do it. I do it monthly. So no when you're doing a Good Samaritan donation, it doesn't have to be like a one-time annual gift. You can divvy it up over 12 months. You can get pretty creative and pretty much, cut that up in any increments you want. So it doesn't have to be one big gift. I've been asked that a couple times recently, so wanted to bring that up. And also just refresh everyone's memory about the Good Samaritan Promise and how important that is here for our mission. So anything else before we wrap it up? Okay. Thanks again for coming later than scheduled, and nice to have such a big crowd today. If you have any questions, please come stop by and see me or whichever director. And I think we'll have a meeting at the end of this month. It's only 3 weeks away though, so we'll see. We'll see if we have enough. What? No? Oh, Labor Day. Okay, well, you heard her. Labor Day weekend's coming up, no meeting. So, okay. But with all these projects going on, I might need to set up meetings around those if we're getting ready to go. So if that's the case, I'll get them posted and you'll know where to come to get your questions addressed. So that'll be coming shortly. If there's no more questions, thank you very much. Have a great day.